Are we live now?
Okay, you are live now. Stage is all yours.
So, hello everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Thorsten Mebs. I'm the passionate supply chain coach and director of the strategic partnerships of the ISCEA EMEA. ISCEA is International Supply Chain Education Alliance. And I'm happy to present today a little bit about my personal beliefs in terms of the future of supply chain management, but also how to link that and what can be done, which each of us or each of you in the future. And for sure, due to the conference topic, we will have technology in the focus. However, there are some certain aspects which we also need to consider in terms of next generations, but I will come to that. So here you see briefly a summary about myself. So 20 years of experience in supply chain management in the chemical and pharmaceutical industry, and I've been working across all functions, starting from operation procurement to master planning to project change management, head of supply chain, global integrated business planning manager, etc. So I'm also transportation. So I've seen all those links along the chain, and hence I have a certain awareness what could be done and what technology should deliver to support, and I have created my own vision. Furthermore, I've taken a lot of diploma and certification throughout my career, and some of the certifications you also can take at the ISCEA if you want to. At the moment, I'm a freelancer. That is part of the pandemic, you can imagine, but also with my passion about certification and programs with the ISCEA. And therefore, I want to get started now. If there's any question, I don't know how the moderation is handling that. Either you can raise the hand and then somebody can unmute you and we can discuss during presentation. But if not, you can do it also afterwards. I'm happy to discuss anything you want to know or you want to stress me because you disagree whatsoever. That would be fine. So the future of supply chain management, there's no technology on this picture, but this has a certain kind of aspect because this is a part of my passion in terms of philosophy, how to manage people and how to manage collaboration in the future. That will be a topic I will present on the 25th of March on a presentation. It's more about education. Today's the future of supply chain and technology. So before we get started, a rough overview, general statement from my side about the future of supply chain management, the as is and should be process and difference between leaders and laggards. Then climate goals and sustainability. I think that is something a lot of people now need to raise awareness. For sure, technology will be a success factor in the supply chain and there's a lot of opportunities and risks. However, you need to balance that with sustainability. If you do it right, you just need to do things once and not twice and not fragmented and then running in one direction later on in the other direction. Therefore, I try to shape a model about true digital collaboration, how it could look like. It's just a vision, maybe a little bit thought-provoking, but also a kind of awareness out of the chemical industry, how such a value chain nowadays looks like from original equipment manufacturers in the automotive industry until the chemical manufacturer in the end, because there is not a real collaboration so far and value chains are not integrated yet, even if companies would make this belief. But if we talk about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, etc., it's always a fragmentation. There might be good pilots and role models even within your company, but it is not completely end-to-end. We must really admit and to be open and fair enough to say so. Huh? Okay, and later on, for sure, a small outlook, and also want to give some examples what I've seen in the market where I think these are tools of technologies and providers as an idea what could be done. Yeah. The future of supply chain management. So traditionally, coming out of the chemical industry, like myself, what I've seen oftentimes that the operations hectic is there. If the quarterly targets are not met in a way they should be, because inventory needs to be brought down, driven by CFO or whoever, there's a target setting which is against the integration of supply chain. So every supply chain manager is also a sustainability manager, and an efficient supply chain cannot run after a KPI just set by top down. It's more or less a bottom-up approach. And as long as the supply chain is handled that way, just do it. It's just from A to B and then pushed. And that way, you will not achieve anything. You will always be left alone in operations hectic in the end. So if the focus is not right, because supply chain is the red band between all the parties, the invisible band, and we have those exceptions. Last year in the pandemic, it came first time up that supply chain or supply is the core function and really relevant and necessary, and it was clear and plain to see who are the resilient companies who have early invested in technology, but also in human resource development. For sure, it is big players who have a lot of more money, but I think there's also some niche ones who have done an excellent job. We don't need to stress that Amazon, I think you will hear that name and word in many presentations because they are pointed out as the one doing that the most, however, not yet sustainable. But also we have companies like Nestle or BASF who are trying to do different things because they have the certain buying power for technology, as long as technology was so expensive, and then doing some pilots. In the chemical industry, we also have a German company called Henkel, who is very advanced compared to all the others. But it's not just a belief. I just will share this in a later stage. There's also some research about this. But we all know technology, process, people, or people, process, technology. These are the things you hear also with a lot of software providers. That is one part, and the availability of technology becomes more and more easy in a certain way. But it's not just the processes. You need the right organization, also with the right people who are really trained or understand the aspects, the processes behind, and also in terms of sustainability. So you need to know how to steer your processes. While this behind the scenes, not just sitting there and just doing and executing, but you need a little bit more broader understanding of the value chain as such. And then you can also start achieving cross-company collaboration, which in the end will become for sure sustainability. Because as soon as you do something that is efficient and effective in a certain way, it becomes sustainable. One full truck load is better than multiple part shipments. And if you have distributors, we need to rethink the entire process, the contract, and then reflect in modern technology, which can do this very excellently. So you need really to become a game changer in all fields and not just on the homepage. And that is the positive aspect of the pandemic. So bad it might be that we have a multiple number of people dying and a lot of businesses are going down. Just today we heard in the news in Germany that the lockdown, we have a certain kind of lockdown will be prolonged until the end of February. This will kill a hell of a number of small and minor and medium businesses, and also restoration and all these kind of things. However, at the same time, we see technology emerging more and more, becoming familiar. Remote work is nothing new anymore. There's multiple technologies, some winners in the center here, like Zoom of that whole story. However, we also observe homeschooling. In summer last year, it was a mess in Germany. Now there's new technology providers approved by government who then are doing that. My sons are currently also sitting at home in the homeschooling, and it starts improving. The people becoming more and more familiar with it. At the same time, we have the same situation with availability of modern technologies, platforms, demand planning and production, manufacturing, whatsoever. It is really popping up, and then the people start daring to look into that much more. However, You need to know what you need or how to. And before we go there, that is at the same time the point. If you want to go in such a direction with a modern tool and technology, and everybody says we need to do an IoT, blockchain, these buzzwords, it's a question of what's really behind it and what is my target and what do I want to achieve. And with this kind of target, we need to look in a broader scope. The last year's 75 years of United Nations and the Global Compact is 20 years old now. They have called the Decade of Action until 2030. And there it's plain and clear that there's certain targets that are set. It's life below water, it's life on land, or responsible consumption and production. It's target number 12 of the United Nations. So if you think to improve your business and become more efficient along with technology, you have a certain kind of target setting which you already can integrate and incorporate and reflect in your supply chain along with those technology. So you can answer global goals by simply executing your pilot projects and your improvement of the value chain. And if you think, yeah, but the people don't know about those sustainability topics, yes, we are all aware and we need to and should, but it's not just should. You could do something like, I've put it here on the bottom line. We have just launched a new certification program about the sustainable supply chain professional. We need to bring that down on the people's know-how. So when I have been a supply chain head in the chemical industry, these targets have never come down. They are existing since 2015. But I think that would be really valuable to look into that and harmonize and orchestrate targets to achieve the proper results for your company. And that's exactly one of the points. And the leaders, they will do this. And 1 year ago, almost, so in May last year, there was a launch of a result of research of Oxford Economics with 1,000 supply chain executives being asked about their automation or use of technology to perform routine tasks. And it's plain to see that the leaders are far ahead of their competition. So top 12% of the respondents, so 120, they make use of it. And within this, compared to the rest, 76% within the top 12 are deploying IoT, already in some areas where 20% of the other respondents. So the gap is that huge. However, it can be closed. So it's not what I said in the beginning of the presentation. It's not a personal belief, but it's really approved by research. And now I think everybody's aware about where to get started, what to do. And that is something what I think, therefore, I'm here today to be passionate about the supply chain, to see what can be done and how to orchestrate, and not to go fragmented or only internal view. So the traditional supply chain process is source, make, deliver, or in the Lean and Six Sigma, we have the SIPOC, supplier, input, production, output, customer. And a lot of companies, they say, oh yes, we have an end-to-end project. They're looking into that, but the majority ends more or less at the goods entry or the goods exit, maybe with some forwarders a little bit out of the internal premises and company. Some even go really end-to-end in some chains, but the larger the company becomes, you have multiple suppliers, you have multiple customers, and then these are maybe the leading ones where you can get integrated with technology, because we're also talking about not supply chain, but SC, supplier-customer relationship. We are all suppliers and customers at the same time at both ends, making use of technology with some of them, but not all. But if we then think about the supplier of the supplier, tier 1, tier 2, all these kind of things, there might be others, they do the same like we do, looking into the on-premises and making use of AI and pushing the smaller suppliers or the smaller customers, but it's a fragmentation. But now the opportunity is there that we have the technology becoming more and more available, also for the small and other suppliers and niche players. They can make use of it. But now it's a danger. Everybody's using it for himself or herself, own company. So we have a lot of technology out there, but it's a fragmentation. It might be that this optimization goes against each other, not integrated within the value chain. So it would be just better to have really this orchestrated and harmonized with all of them. And that is a new and leadership requirement, and also looking out of the box of your company to really ensure that if this is harmonized, they grow, I grow, we all grow. But that is a new set of KPI and mindset. And there, the global goals of the United Nations might be supportive, to say, okay, it's more than us. And then you have a real value chain integration in the end, because you completely integrate and harmonize all of them. And for sure, together with cloud, these things are quite, more or less, simply available if you understand how to. And that's just the point to look a little bit into the old-fashioned business. If we look from the OEMs, they get their stuff from the coaters, for the colors, for the car, for red cars, for example, and they have a 6 to 12 weeks lead time. You order as a customer, you get your car after 6 to 12 weeks, and they get supplied with the bumpers, with plastic glued bumpers on the car in the same color. But here we already have an offset. The delivery time of those specialty chemicals might be needing 4 to 20 weeks. But for the colors, it might even need 3 to 6 months. I've been working in this field of business, so it's not just out of my mind, but I know how this works like. And even if the customer demand picks up and red becomes the trendy color, it's not reported here. Like we have just seen the fragmented value chain. We all know the games played between procurement and sales. So hiding information, do not share forecasts with the supplier, because you then can optimize the price, but optimize the price to what result? If the chain is not integrated, this means they are using now technology. The larger the company, the higher they can buy in all the modern ideas for demand planning, prescriptive analytics, and using AI and machine learning, and then creating data pools. But it is the own data pool. It's not integrated with the chemicals. And then they still wonder why it's not working, because it's just an inside view or a fragmented view of the value chain. So just in time, though, this means there is some buffer inventory somewhere in the chain. Otherwise, you won't achieve that, or you don't run on time and full in the end. And therefore, you have 6 to 12 weeks. This is then the VUCA world, which is driven from inside out due to the lack of integration. So then cloud becomes available, and then people and companies start using it for sure. Modern technology and SAP and wherever, all those things start running on cloud. And then everybody is using maybe these modern topics in machine learning for supply, for demand, for production. But it's becoming uneasy, because these things might go against each other. And if everybody's using that, then we are starting losing the game, because it's too much. You can build a lot of server sites and cities, Microsoft Azure, or here in Frankfurt we have Interaction, buying huge land and then building servers. But the question is, do we do the right things with the right data and then share that? So then we say, okay, we need to share more and more, and then the people start creating more and more clouds and edge clouds. So it's becoming very cloudy and losing overview, and I think it's becoming too complex and not manageable. And then it's really the thing to think about, to sit together and rethink and recharge and restart about how this could work like. That's the point where I had the idea to make it clear how to use the cloud in the center, then the modern edge technology. Maybe there we have the potential market for red cars, the cloud, where they share just those data. And this data can be shared with a middleware, with a blockchain, where you just distribute that information that is required. I don't need the detailed cars manufacturer's name and brand name of the model or whatsoever in the chemical industry, but it would be nice to have it on time when the demand is picking up to see, okay, the demand for the specific color for these cars, because there's certain pigments or things in. I only need to know the demand, the quantity in total for a specific period of time, so I can prepare my edge cloud and my data and then see and then do the scheduling. And if we harmonize that with a shared algorithm, machine learning, and this is a certain shared set of data, the big data, then we all can play that game. Yeah, the bumper manufacturers, for example, they get their information from the markets in general, maybe, but the bumper one delivering to OEM 2 might get detailed information out of the blockchain with cybersecurity and modern technology. You just can ensure the need to know who needs to get what. But in the end, we can then use it if we have the data. Also, with our premises, we download, we manipulate AI, machine learning, and then we can upload the demand and share maybe with a chemical industry from the bumper and say, I need then this and that and that. But beforehand, I have already got a certain idea of the red colors picking up, so I was prepared. And now I get the detailed information from my customer, the bumper one in the chemical industry, and so I can react and act and not by air freight and operations hectic, which is also not sustainable, the CO2 footprint, but I can share with a full container load. I can really utilize my plant because I get advanced information, prescriptive analytics. We are here in that point, but you only can do that if we start sharing the information as soon as we can. And then the response is just, okay, yes, I can deliver on time, in full. They can deliver on time in full and maybe even faster than before. So improvement of the entire chain might even lead to a higher customer satisfaction along with improved sustainability. So that is what I believe. It's really a personal belief out of my history. And with all those improvements, you have a higher efficiency and higher profitability and then higher sales for all of them. It's not about not just looking on your own, but really start to understand the global value chain, and that is really supported by the global targets of the United Nations. And then you really become a game changer. And there, you just need to think where to get started. I just have put in some brand names everybody knows, just to see that I have no preferences here. It's just to think about from where to where, source, make, deliver, where to get started, and how to integrate these things. For example, in a source, you can make use of a sourcing platform with fair market, where you get a better decision-taking, sharing of information for the purchase order, supplier relationship management. And if you then integrate that with the execution level, with a middleware like Morpheus Network, then you can play back all those information of the true and real execution of a Chinese supplier, for example, into the platform. Say, yes, it was the cheapest one, but always late. And this being late has led to reduction in capacity because, so not just price and money and product quality, but also real performance measurement. And you need to start playing these games with blockchain like Morpheus Network. And at the same time, you can integrate it with a platform in the manufacturing space where you can have the checklist and all these kind of things where the process can be started like with Parsable. And then if you then link these things, then you have already the supply side covered. And on the other hand, you have deliver demand planning softwares where there's a multiple number of game players out there. And in the end, taking proper decisions with the S&OP if you have incorporate all that. And the decision taking can improve if you have better transparency and visualization of the data in the chain with all these other things like Morpheus Network. You start eliminating manual documents and tools like emails. You just have it in in one chain, the shipping information, you can play it back into the ERP system. There's an interface too, and you can really start going advanced in all this kind of customs clearance, but also if you make use of the cloud as middleware, like I just have, or the blockchain as a middleware, like I've shown in my example, then you can cover the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So you can integrate them all together and then really show what's coming up. Production, they are looking into the platform at parcels, for example, but they're waiting for the information. Where's my raw material? I cannot produce if the raw material is not coming. And such a blockchain can incorporate the shipment information on all the sources, maybe congestion at the port. And so you can do a certain kind of live tracking, but also push information into the production to say, okay, this is where it is coming. Yeah? So you can prepare a chain, say this is how the total chain should look like, the measure of the steps, and then you can say FTA forecasted time of arrival and the real days, so that you really can cover that. And with a prescriptive analytics also here, the system then can propose, okay, based on the historic information, like machine learning is working like, we all know this, the vessel will arrive or the goods will arrive in your plant not on Monday but on Friday because, so calculating up. And then you can use your platform in manufacturing, production, also trying to incorporate and integrate, and out of the ERP or directly out of the blockchain into the production and manufacturing platform. So the colleagues there just can press the button and say, oh, I have all the information I require, and then I can press the button and get the process on the platform started, so that the worker who's connected to all of this information can really execute manufacturing and don't wait and say, okay, we were waiting for the raw material, or if it is coming late, then they can prolong the previous campaign, or they do some preventive maintenance, so you can fill the empty space because you're not just waiting, because you know when the material is arriving. Yeah? And that is, sorry, I don't have so much time, therefore I'm quite fast in the presentation. However, if you have ideas and you think you cannot achieve that to get a pilot or whatever done in your company, you can make use of the Reboot Everything Org Challenge. We have, sponsored by the ISCEA, a Reboot Supply Chain, which is open now. You can provide all of your ideas. It will be awarded in summer, and we will hand it out on the SC Tech conference in October. The whole story is linked also with the United Nations Global Assembly. It's free of charge, so you can gather people around you and say, hey, I have an idea. I'm now, so after this conference, innovative about certain things. Just give it a try. You can launch all your ideas here. And then it is really important, the other point, that if you have ideas, there should be a sustainability aspect in there. That is why we are doing that. We are looking into sustainable improvement of the supply chain. So if you have ideas how to improve with technology, just don't hesitate and go there and yeah, make a difference. That's what I just outlook for 21 wanted to say. You yourself, everybody of us can make a difference. We launched that, and yeah, that's I think on time, in full, 11:30. So be passionate and stay healthy. And for sure, you also can contact me via LinkedIn or email or the ISC Global Desk if you want to know more about what we provide and offer. But I just wanted to provide and provoke some thoughts. And I hope I've done that. No, a little bit fast, however. And the presentation you also can get afterwards. There's some certain links and then videos what we have done, so that you get more inspired. So,
okay, that's
open
great.
for questions.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Thorsten. Thank you so much. It was really the way you connected technology, and especially climate change and sustainability with supply chain, was very impressive. So I really request the audience to please go ahead and ask any questions that you may have in the main chat. He's here to answer your questions. Thank you, Thorsten. Okay, so now we will have a 30-minute networking break from up till 12. And we will, on the left-hand side, you can see a networking tab. You just have to click that and you can talk to each other during this time. And our next presentation will start at 12.